Okay, I call to order the Upper Moreland Township regular meeting for November 13th, 2023. Please join me in a moment of silence. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Matt, you want to do attendance?
Ward 1.
Present.
Ward 2.
Here.
Ward 3.
Here.
Ward 4. Ward 5. Ward 6.
Here.
Ward 7.
Here.
Madam Vice President, all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioners Prusi and McFadridge.
Thank you. I'd like to note that we met in executive session for personal and legal matters on November 4th after the budget workshop and this evening before this meeting. Any presentations?
There are none.
Okay. All right, first on the agenda is public comments for non-agenda items. Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. This is a non-agenda item?
It is.
I'm sorry. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So my name is Chris Jones, and I'm a resident of Ward 5. I was born here, and raised my family here in Upper Moreland. I joined the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company in 1984, and I've been its president for the last 4 years. In August of this year, the township presented a document to the Volunteer Fire Company and the Fire Company Relief Association. We called for a list of items, both financial and operational in nature, as well as who would control those subjects. Most of those items were things that we were doing already, but there were some items like an additional fire financial reporting to the township, budget control, and control of volunteer fire company relief funds, including the fire company relief insurance and length of service award program in development that caused both the volunteer fire company and fire company relief boards to be very concerned over the amount of control that the township was looking to establish. We agreed to most of the requests by the township and agreed to make all operational and financial disclosures requested by the township. After suggesting changes to and returning the agreement to the township, they continued to insist on control over certain items, again stressing the financial aspect and control of any changes to the volunteer member life insurance policies, the length of service award program, and the appropriate number of volunteers. We've reached an impasse with the township on these subjects, and we are asking that we be given the opportunity to sit down with the commissioners to discuss this in person, as we don't feel they are getting both sides of the story. I hope you'll consider what I've said and the path forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. Any other public comments? Okay, we'll move on to the treasurer's activity report.
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's activity report for October 2023.
Second.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? Public? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, that report passes. Thank you. Next,
I'll make a motion to approve the
Thank you.
meeting minutes from October 2nd, 2023.
Second.
any comments from commissioners? Community? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Passes. Okay. Okay, next we're going to go to, we're going to skip around on the agenda a little bit. First do things, the items that the public's here to discuss. So I will give it over to Commissioner Valenza for Finance and Administration Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Commissioner. Finance Administration. The Finance Committee recommends the Board of Commissioners take action on, and we're skipping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, going to 3F. Recommends the motion to approve advertising a draft ordinance repealing ordinance number 526 to be considered by the Board of Commissioners at the December 4, 2023 regular meeting.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, I'd like to start by reading a statement just to give the public some information regarding this item.
Thank you.
On behalf of the Board of Commissioners, I thank you all for joining us tonight. It is great to see so many people interested and involved in local government issues, and we appreciate your participation this evening. We know that many of you are here tonight to learn more about the board's actions concerning Ordinance 526, and I want to be clear what is and what isn't happening tonight. As part of tonight's agenda, and as required by law, the board will consider whether to publicly advertise a bill for revocation of Ordinance 526, which is effectively a measure to decommission the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company. I want to be clear, however, that no final determination about the future of the Willow Grove Fire Company will occur tonight. Instead, tonight's action would only be a vote to authorize the township to advertise the matter for consideration at our next regular board meeting on December 4th. In addition, prior to that, on November 27th, this issue will be discussed at the Public Health and Safety Committee meeting. I understand that people have concerns about the future of fire safety in Upper Moreland Township. We share those concerns, and I want to assure you that all the township commissioners agree that the safety of our residents and their property is the board's highest priority. In fact, improving the township's fire protections is the reason that we are considering this measure at all. We certainly appreciate the past contributions of the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company, but the reality is that unfortunately, in recent years, the company has consistently failed to provide the level of service needed to protect township residents. Its members are not responding anywhere close to the levels we need to adequately staff our fire calls. As a result, the township has been forced to increase reliance on paid firefighting personnel, as well as the support of volunteer companies from other nearby communities to keep our residents safe. If volunteers don't respond in adequate numbers when the alarm sounds, it threatens the safety of our residents, our homes, and our businesses. From a public safety perspective and a financial perspective, it just doesn't work. So the board must examine all options, including the possible repeal of Ordinance 526. We are committed to ensuring public safety no matter what the ultimate outcome, but tonight is simply a procedural step that will allow us to consider the issue more fully next month. Do any other commissioners want to make any comments? That was on behalf of everyone. So, okay, so we'll start taking public comments. Oh, right. Please start by stating your name and address. We ask that I think there's a lot of people that are going to want to make comments, so please try to make it concise if you can. Please do not come up and repeat a point that's already been made, unless, of course, you feel very strongly and want to do that. So let's get started. Who would?
Good evening, Commissioner
Hi.
Lockard and Commissioners. My name is Stuart Greenleaf, 417 Bartram Road, Ward 4, but I am also counsel to the Willow Grove Volunteer Fire Company and the Relief Association. I'm sure there are many people here tonight that are going to talk about the substance of this matter. I will leave that to them, but tonight I'd like to make an objection under the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act and request the removal of this item from tonight's agenda for violation of that act. The agenda tonight indicates that item 8A3F was recommended by the Finance Administrative Committee at its October 23rd meeting. However, such a recommendation was never listed on an agenda. It still is not listed on the agenda, and based on the video recording of that meeting posted to the township's website, such a recommendation was never mentioned or voted on at any point during that meeting. Therefore, I think advancing this matter at this meeting would be a violation of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act, and I request that it be removed from the agenda. Thank you.
Okay. I'll see if our attorney would like to respond.
Sure, I'll respond
Alex
to
Baumler.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Greenleaf had previously sent the same objection to me earlier this afternoon. And as I relayed to the board, I examined the Sunshine Act and found no such grounds to entertain that objection to remove that agenda item from this evening. There is nothing in that act that requires you as a board to first have an item thoroughly examined at a public meeting by a subcommittee before said agenda item can be advanced to this board for consideration. And also given the fact that this is an ministerial action item that you as a board are going to entertain this evening, makes it all the more apparent that you can take the action, continue to have your public hearings on the 27th and December 4th, and act appropriately. So at this time, I would recommend continuing with the agenda item this evening.
Thank you. That is what we will do. Can I, okay?
Jeff Henley, 517 Manor House Lane. Mr. Baumler, thank you for your concern that we act appropriately. My concern is that we're not. While not a native Upper Moorlander, I've lived in the township more than half my life. And one of the things that I've appreciated and always sensed is the community involvement between township government and township residents. And while I understand that the economic and social conditions are different than they were 16 years ago, much less 116 years ago, when our volunteer fire company came together. And while I believe I really, truly believe it's important that we not, in layman's terms, kick them to the curb, but there are residents, our ancestors, our predecessors, who have dedicated their lives to the safety and welfare of our township. And there's many people here tonight who have followed in the same route. And I think it's incumbent upon us, as all of us, as governance and residents, to continue to support them. And I would ask that you repeal your consideration of this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you for your concern and your comment.
Jennifer Herring, 1515 Sycamore Avenue. You mentioned about the public safety perspective. What perspective is this? How did you get it? Studies done? Because we have, as residents, we have not seen any studies to look at for you to even bring this about. We look at these men and women, you say they don't respond. Well, I'll tell you personally, they responded when Sycamore Village had an incident. And the power lines went down. These gentlemen were out in the street, guarding the streets for over an hour as we waited for PICO to come, not the paid firefighters. Second, they are not just emergency responders. They are our community residents. They are role models. Our high schoolers, they have to do community service. Part of their community service is firefighting, going to the volunteer fire departments. What message are you sending to our children if you're saying, no, as a volunteer, you're not good enough? They're not getting paid for this. You're sending a message to our children that there's no bother in volunteering. That's what my 16-year-old said when he heard that they were going to do this. He's like, what's the use of anyone volunteering if they're going to shut us down? No, that's not the purpose of volunteering. Second of all, the money. You're looking to take the money? Why? It's not yours to take. It comes from the state. If you take that money, where's it going to go? Anyone? Do we have a place for this money to go?
That is certainly not our focus here. It's public safety. We're not.
Well, okay. If it's public safety and the money is not your focus, okay, isn't it, let's say even if they're not responding fast enough, even if they get there 10 minutes later, they still provide more than nothing, correct? So if you're not going to take their money, and it's not going to go anywhere else, it's going to go back to the state, which I very much doubt it is, then why do it? You're taking a livelihood from these people and our role models out of our community. In addition, with as much as you're building here, and we keep bringing people in, You're increasing our population and decreasing our emergency services. It makes no sense.
If I can just clarify one point, there's nothing in any proposed agreement that we've discussed that the township would be taking any money from the volunteer fire company. I think there'll be time to talk about those things on the 27th, but I think the purpose of
Yeah,
tonight
thank
is
you
that-
for that. I mean, certainly the
Well,
township would not take the money and use it for
Okay,
any.
has there been a study done about this?
There have been studies done.
Okay. Have they been released to us? Have they been released?
I think the 27th would be the venue in which we could talk about a lot of those items.
That didn't answer my question.
I think, that-
Has the study been released? Because if the 27th is when we're going to have the meeting, the documentation should be released prior to the meeting so we can file our right to know and get that documentation to see that how the studies were actually done.
I think we have internal numbers that we'll be able to share with you at the 27th meeting. Our fire chief will be able to share some of those at that time,
When do we actually get to see the study?
on the 27th.
Yeah, remember, we'll have this 27th to discuss it, and it won't be voted on until December 4th.
But if you have this study, why isn't it released now?
It's not a study. These are just internal numbers that our fire chief has.
So are we going to find out how he came up with the numbers on the 27th?
These are just numbers he's collected over the years, response calls, numbers of folks responding, those kinds of numbers.
It's statistics. It's not anything that anybody came up with. It's just the statistics.
Okay. And then we'll file our right to know, look over everything.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Fred Standard from
evening.
Ward 2. I'm at 2407 Parkside Avenue. And it's great. We're going to have paid firefighters. We're going to decertify our volunteer fire company. In other words, you're taking the funding from them because you can't take the equipment because that belongs to the Relief Association. And the Relief Association belongs to the state and the Auditor General because they're the ones that take care of that. Am I correct, Mr. Solicitor?
In a sense, sir, most of the equipment, it was my understanding, is owned by the township itself.
Here is the Relief Act. It's House Bill 675, and it's dated December 22nd, 1993, signed by Robert Casey, Governor. And in this, it states what the Relief Association can and cannot buy, and that the state is the ones that audit the relief, not the township. With that being said, everything that belongs to the Relief Association will still go on even if you defund them. Because that Relief Association can only be dissolved through a commons plea court, and that's only after they have 5 members or less in their Relief Association. And that's in accordance with Title 35, paragraph 2419. And that explains exactly how you have to dissolve a volunteer Relief Association company as far as the Relief Association is concerned. That money comes from the insurance companies who write new policies, and they get charged 2% on every new policy they write if they are an out-of-Commonwealth company. In other words, and I'll use State Farm for an example. State Farm writes a new policy on your car, Commissioner Spearing. That means that they have to give 2% to the state for that policy because they're an Illinois insurance company. Now, the Relief Association money comes from the state through the municipality to support the safety and well-being of the firefighters. Battalion Chief Jones can go through, and whoever's the president of their Relief Association, and tell you how there's numerous things that they would like to buy that they can't buy because it's not part of the Relief Association. They are very, very stringent. And when they get audited, like they got audited back in January by the state, If they have anything that isn't right, they have to make amends for it, and they have to come up with the money for it to put it back in the Relief Association. The Relief Association itself is a separate part of the volunteer fire company. That also pays for death benefits. So even if the firehouse is defunded, and you notice I'm not using decertified, I'm using defunded, then that means that that Relief Association will still be intact because it still has death payments to pay out to retirees of that fire company who is also a part of that Relief Association. Now, as far as the volunteers and as far as them making calls, every person that's a volunteer has a second job. Every person that's a volunteer has a wife and family at home that they have to care for because they're getting no money from the fire company. They're getting all their money from their regular job. Sure, there's a clause in the Pennsylvania state law that says that 1 hour prior to work, you can go, if you go on a fire call, 1 hour prior to work, you are exempt from any discipline. But as we all know, and as you, Commissioner Venezuela, know, as being a manager of a company, if somebody uses the excuse of going on a fire call too many times, you're going to find some reason to fire him. So they're under a constant restraint. Sure, everybody's hurting. That's how come the county put out signs asking for more volunteers. Now, another thing is, Commissioner Spearing was talking to me about doing a study. And you've been on the board now, you've been a commissioner for over 20 years, correct?
16.
Back in 2005, the same people that you were talking about did a Commonwealth study on volunteer fire companies. And one of the biggest things that came out of the study was, believe it or not, lack of communication between township commissioners and the volunteer fire department. And, you know, it's amazing because that was back in 2005, and still to this day, I could ask probably, has anybody been over to the volunteer fire company within the last year? Have you seen what they do? Have you visited drills?
I wasn't at a drill, but I was at a night when they assembled at the firehouse.
I mean, you know, I just seen them with the paid go out, and you had 3 trucks at a scene over at Brynathan. I thought that was pretty impressive for my township to have 3 trucks at a fire scene. You know, and it wasn't even their call. It was a mutual aid call. So here again, I'd like to, for you as commissioners, to take a good hard look before you start to defund the volunteer fire company. Stop and think about what these people go through. They go through now it's up to something like 210 hours for firefighter 1 of their own time. Nobody pays them to go there. They do it on their own time. It used to be 160 hours, and that's all on their own time. You go through hazmat ops, which is a requirement at most spots, most fire companies. And that is another, something like 30 hours to go through hazmat ops. And then you go through vehicle rescue technician. And you're looking at, here again, 32, 48, up to 60 hours of going through schools that they're not getting paid for, that nobody's giving them any pat on the back for. All that they're doing is doing what they feel is their service to their township to help protect it. So I strongly recommend that we start to work with the volunteers, see what we can do about getting more volunteers and getting less paid firefighters that we're paying close to $125,000 a year for. And if you want to know how I come up with that figure, take a look at their salaries, take a look at their paid vacations, workman's comp, health benefits, death benefits, their turnout gear, their air packs, and everything that goes along with it. Figure it all out, and you'll see how close I am to that. So I recommend, strongly recommend, that we don't defund the volunteer fire company. Let them try to get more people. Help them to try to get more volunteers. I mean, I don't care if you're a volunteer fire company or the Moose Lodge or the American Legion. Nobody's getting volunteers anymore. Volunteers are hard to come by because people don't want to volunteer. They don't want to do nothing for nothing. And especially when they know they have to spend so many hours in school just to become a firefighter one. So here again, me as a citizen here in Upper Moreland, wish that it would, if you are going to defund them, at least let it come to a referendum at the primaries and let the voters decide if they want it or not. Can you do that? Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. I do want to make one comment about what we talked about on Election Day extensively, and that was about me trying to, the study's already been done, but I was trying to get multiple municipalities on a study to regionalize our firefighters. And that was the conversation you and I had. It was about regionalization. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your help, and I appreciate your volunteerism also. Thank you very much.
Ronald Bogus, 2055 Carlson Drive, Ward 4. I'd like to know, have there been any productive meetings between the commissioners and the volunteers?
There's been many meetings
been
between
meetings
the
over the
volunteers
years.
and the township. A lot of meetings were about fire trucks, apparatus, budget stuff about this particular issue. There's been a few conversations.
Okay.
And I'd just like to add, sir,
Once lawyers got involved, we stopped.
I'd like to add, sir, yes, as a result of those meetings and conversations, the board authorized us and the township staff to start to put together what's known as a fire services agreement. That would just basically define the relationship between the two parties, right? Everything from fundraising efforts to recruitment of volunteers to finance, transparency, all those kind of things. And over the course of several months, we went back and forth and negotiated terms on that. The board was removed when the volunteer fire company hired counsel, Mr. Greenleaf, who was here in the audience, because legally, once they've retained counsel, we have to speak to them and negotiate. When the negotiations failed to produce a final agreement, this item was added to the board's agenda for consideration, and that's why this process has been started.
So,
Thank you.
Alex, so everything Fred said about volunteers and what everybody gives here, for the last 3 years at least, long before that, we have had a spirited effort to find every incentive we possibly could to recognize what volunteers do and to broaden our net to grab more volunteers. Incentives for tax deductions, stipends for calls. Yes, very much involved in several conversations here on multiple occasions to make it a better place for volunteers to work, to be here.
And we certainly agree that it's an intense commitment. It's a huge, huge dedication by the volunteer firefighters.
Thank you. One other thing, if the volunteers are decertified, where would our aid come from? Who would be our responders? I understand we have three paid firefighters, is that correct?
Yeah, Matt, do you want to?
Yeah, we currently have 7, including our chief, paid, and then we have a number of part-timers as well.
Okay. So who would be our responders in addition to those in-house people?
Well, currently, the paid fire are covering the vast majority of calls as it is now. So we would continue to cover those calls with our paid staff. And we can see.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And they would be able to cover multiple emergencies with that level of staffing? Can they support multiple apparatus being deployed?
I think that would be a question for Chief Glassman. I think the current situation makes it difficult to cover multiple instances at one time, but we've been able to cover most instances, maybe not to the level we'd like, which is one of the reasons we're studying this issue now, but we have been covering them over the last, 6 months to a year or so, primarily with paid staff.
Staffing and response time is the primary reason that we're considering this action.
Okay, I feel rather than decertifying them, if the volunteers are responding in whatever numbers they can provide, they'd be able to get to an emergency sooner than someone outside the township. And they've been doing invaluable service to the community. And I think they would be putting the community at risk if they're decertified.
I think we'll have the opportunity to talk in detail about the statistics on the 27th. That might be helpful for you to kind of dive into the numbers more.
Thank you.
Thank you. No.
My name's Jeff Honecker. I live at 808 North York Road in Willow Grove. You keep saying study, and he says statistics. There is a difference. So if it's a study, what did you base the study on? And if it's statistics, that's just for our fire company, correct?
There was not a study conducted. What we're talking about,
They keep saying study,
well, statistics is what we're talking about.
but they keep saying study. So which is it?
What did we pay, Tom Sullivan?
Oh, you're talking about the other one. There was a study done about, year and a half, 2 years ago.
Tom Sullivan.
Yeah. And so they're correct. There was that study. And that took a deep look at our current fire service, and there was a lot of information in there. So yes, you're correct. So a lot of the information comes from that. What I was talking about were the numbers just over the last year or so that are primarily just statistics.
All right, the study that you speak of that was been done, where would I find that study to be able to look at the numbers?
That was done, yeah.
It's available.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of those things as well on the 27th.
You can get a copy of the report. It's available.
And I'm also curious, these questions about the study or the statistics, whichever one it is, you keep saying it's push it off until the 27th. Are you voting on the 27th on what you're going to do? Or
No.
you're going to vote?
Oh, yeah.
And
The
then
purpose of the 27th is to do a deep dive so we can make sure we have enough time on the agenda to really spend time on it. We'll take whatever time is necessary to do a deep dive, but we wanted to try and designate the 27th for that, and then the 4th, and then whatever time is necessary to talk about it.
Right, generally at the committee meetings is when there's most of the discussion on the issues and experts here if needed. And then on the regular meeting on December 4th would primarily be the vote.
But you're voting tonight to see if you proceed forward, correct?
We're voting tonight to advertise to consider it at the December 4th meeting.
And on the final note, I've had 3 occasions where I had to call the volunteer fire company. Once my house was on fire. These guys showed up in numbers. Not only did they save my house, they saved my dog Tess. And for that, I'll ever be grateful. Just the other day, I had an electrical problem at my house and I made a phone call to the fire department. And again, they showed up, they came downstairs and they spent the time looking for what I was looking at, the smell. I had a burnt rubber smell and they looked. Thank God it wasn't anything serious. So that's all I got.
Thank you.
If I may, and thank you for the opportunity to make one more comment. I listened to all the discussion. Commissioner Spirit, I agree with you as with someone who works for a nonprofit and is a member of 3 nonprofit organizations. It's tough to get volunteers. Can someone explain to me, and perhaps for the benefit of everyone here today, how our township and our residents are better off with none as opposed to a few? Or will that be covered on the 27th?
Good evening. My name is Matt Gorman. I'm at 524 Fairhill Street, Willow Grove. I'm also a volunteer firefighter. I've actually served with some of these ladies and gentlemen here. So tonight, I've heard a bunch of things. One of the things that we need to keep in mind here is to keep the volunteers. Why would we want to get rid of volunteers? 30-plus years members? Raise your hand. 60. Anybody that's 50 or years older that puts on an air pack and runs into a burning building? No. Have any one of you done that? You said that you went to one of the drills before. You ever put an air pack on, go into an actual burning building, have any of that?
I've been fitted for apparatus, but I've never run into a burning building.
Okay. So again, this is a different breed is what I'm trying to get
understand
at.
that.
This is a total different breed. We want to go paid. Why? Again, I'm a volunteer.
Where did you hear that we weren't going to go paid? Never heard that comment.
I've heard that comment from almost a year ago.
You never heard it from this board?
Am I speaking? This is my turn, right?
No, you made an accusation that we wanted to.
No, I'm not making, I'm just making what I've heard. I'm trying to get to the point, and you're not allowing me. Can I get to the point that it's my turn to talk, and then you can have your turn?
This board never said they wanted to go paid, and you insinuated that we did.
Okay, my mistake then. But if you're going to get rid of volunteers, what are you going to do? You're going to go paid, correct? You're not just going to staff that truck with 3 people. You're not going to do that. That's just impossible, okay? It doesn't work that way in a house fire. But you did make a statement, stipends. How about making sure that these firemen go out and get stipend money? How about if they get tax relief? A lot of townships are doing that. Lower end of Bucks County just made that. It's a big, big break for these guys. Think about that. Before you guys make, what's that?
It's already done.
Anybody here getting a tax break? One? One person? One? Okay. I've never heard that in Upper Moreland Township. I'm sorry?
I thought there was 8 that got checks.
They're not all here.
They may not be here, but
We increased it. I agree. We have tried, we've done things. We do want to have more volunteers. No matter what this vote is, we do support volunteer firefighters.
okay, on my half as being a resident, I'm not getting that. I'm getting, this wants to go the opposite way, not be volunteer. Again, people ran out Christmas, New Year's, whatever the holiday may be. These guys are dedicated people. We have to keep these people here, so we're not paying higher tax money for services where we have guys just sitting in a firehouse. I mean, I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, the new paid chief, I don't know who he is. I have no idea who this gentleman is. I understand he lives in New Jersey, and he takes a township vehicle back and forth to New Jersey. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How many miles does this gentleman live away from the township?
Who's paying his gas?
I'm sorry?
Who's paying his gas?
Exactly. Who's paying his fuel bill? I am. How many miles does that gentleman live away from this township that he cannot respond to any fire call in an hour's time? Can he? Chief, are you here?
22 miles.
I'm sorry?
22 miles. 12 up 95. And
How many miles, sir?
22.
22. One way. One way. That's township money. That's tax money. He should not be allowed to be taking that vehicle home. I'm sorry, I don't, no disrespect. You understand where I'm coming from. I think that's wrong.
That's your opinion, that's fine.
It's not an opinion. It is my opinion, and it's a taxpayer opinion. Most taxpayers don't know that this gentleman's getting a car to run that far. Okay? I mean, think about that. That's another part of, these volunteers. They don't take that chief's car to Montgomery Township or whatever. Again, he's taking it 22 miles. Think about that. I mean, before you guys decide to do this, I also think maybe you should actually have a board with actual residents and not just you guys. Outside of this, here, you should have it. Fire company, you guys, and outside people. You should be talking to, taxpayers.
I have a question for you. You identified yourself as a firefighter.
I am.
When was the last time you responded to a fire?
When? 3 days ago.
Thank you.
3 days ago.
Thank you for your service.
Okay?
My name is Ann McCarty, 2105 Carson Drive, Ward 4. I'm trying to explain. Tonight, we're going to decide if we're going to even make a motion for this? Is that what we're deciding tonight, if we're going to go forward to make a motion?
We're deciding if we're going to, yes, publicly advertise it to vote on it,
So yous are going to decide tonight if we're going to publicly advertise it?
to put it on the agenda for a vote on December 4th, yes.
So the comments for these people, from everybody and the people in the community, I'm here to support, not to support you guys, to support them. I mean, I didn't know half this stuff, and my thing is this township is getting so big. How can we even consider doing this and not having a volunteer firefighter? I realize we have full-time fire employees. I do realize that. That's not a lot, just by what you're putting in here. We got a new development going over here in the Willow Grove Mall. It was approved right there on the corner. You got another one that's trying to be approved over on the Executive Meadows for over 272. You got the ones down on Maryland Road, the tinder boxes, as I call them, as I watched them go up, and they're all wood. So how can we, like, how can you even consider that? How can we even say, we're going to make it, to see if we can make it public, or whatever we have to do? I'm here to say, don't even do that. Tonight, decide, no. No, we're not, we don't want to do this. That's how I feel. I've been in this community for over 26 years, and I come from the city, and I have family that are Philadelphia firefighters. So these are people that are volunteering a job that people get paid for. And why even consider it? Why even consider it?
So I just want to be clear, we do support and would like to have a
I get
robust
that, but why would
volunteer
you
fire
even
company.
consider this? What
Because
is-
we're concerned about the current statistics and the public safety.
So, okay, current statistics in public safety of how fast they get to a fire.
How fast and how many active volunteers
Okay,
are going
so-
out on the trucks, yes.
So if they're not there, where is it going to improve? Explain to me, where is it going to improve if we don't have volunteer firefighters?
We're going to,
We're going to what?
we're
gonna
working to
hire-
figure that out.
We're going to hire full-time firefighters?
We don't want to hire, we certainly don't want to hire more firefighters.
Or we're going to hire full-time
We certainly
firefighters?
don't want to hire more firefighters
Because
than
then
we
my
need.
taxes go up. That's kind of what it sounds like to me for being a layman, as you can say.
We certainly would support a robust volunteer fire company,
But
but that's not what we have right now.
so what are you saying? They're not doing nothing? They're not,
They don't show up.
they've showed up to my house and I've called them 3 times.
Well, we'll look at the you can look at the statistics with us.
And that's on the
Thank you.
27th, and then you're going to vote on the 4th?
You raise a very important point. How do we continue to take care of this community? And this Board of Commissioners is under the impression, and we're realizing it, that the way that we're doing business right now is not sustainable. So we have to make a difference.
You just have to make a difference in a lot of ways, but just money is not always the money object, and get more people into this community is not always the way. We can't afford to.
There's
You
a
want
lot
more
of different
people in here to
options.
pay taxes so we can get more paid firefighters. And you're getting people just to,
One of the conversations I had with Fred, like I said, was about regionalization. Fred stood there election day and he fought me like hell. He said, there's no way you're gonna do it. It's not feasible. So like, we're trying. We really sincerely feel like there's other solutions out there. And everybody on this board knows that I've been beating this drum for regionalization for 10 years. And I'm trying. And you know what? Everybody's got their shelves full of money over here and shelves full of money over there. They don't want to talk about it. Brent Athen in Lower Moreland, they tried to do it. I don't know what's going on over there, but there's an issue, you know?
what I'm saying. and
Okay, you know what, our goal tonight is to make sure
this
everybody
sustainable.
gets a chance to speak. So let's
So us speaking,
not,
what does that do for you?
we want to hear what the public has to say. And we also want to, at the next meeting, inform more and have further discussion about this. Thank you.
Alex, is
Fred, can we see if there's somebody else first?
Thank you. Yeah, let's get
Alex, is
anybody.
this a public meeting on the 27th?
Yes.
Yes.
And it's a,
It is our Finance and Administrative Committees, Public Health and Safety
So-
Committees, and Parks and Recreation. It's been publicly advertised. It will be at 7 o'clock in this room,
All right.
open to the public.
and the next meeting will be an actual, like a conditional use hearing, it will actually be a hearing?
No, it will just be a public discussion on the ordinance, but again,
December, I'm at.
yes, there'll be a notice in the paper.
If we take action tonight.
Correct.
My
No.
name is David Ferlani, 520 Schoolhouse Lane, Ward 1. I understand that there's a whole issue with volunteerism and getting people to staff the fire department. And I understand where you guys are coming from. However, holding these numbers in studies to the 27th of the month. So to me, it appears that you guys and gals have the opportunity to put the spin on these numbers the way you want, and not giving us the opportunity to evaluate those numbers ahead of time so we can come in and, with knowledge, understand what those stats mean and where we're coming from. But right now, you're not being transparent at all. You're saying you support us all, but you're hiding numbers. You're hiding numbers.
We're not
Public
hiding them.
numbers,
I can
public
tell you,
information
it
that's
is
out
very
there.
important to us to be transparent.
Oh,
And I
but you're not.
apologize,
So
I
release the
apologize,
numbers.
we don't have those
Is there a
numbers
legal
tonight.
opportunity that we are not allowed to release those numbers?
The township will release the numbers. That's what they've said repeatedly.
No, on the 27th.
I apologize,
And then a
we
week later,
don't
we're going
have
to make a
them.
decision on what we're going to do.
Today is just simply an administrative item.
You're not answering my question. Can those numbers be released tomorrow morning on the website? What you're going to present on the 27th, can we see tomorrow?
No. Gotta go through legal counsel. Legal counsel, legal counsel.
I'm asking. My taxes are paying this guy. Give me an
I
answer.
promise you, we want to be transparent and are going to release the information.
Excuse
And
me?
I promise you that we want to be transparent. That's very important to us, and we will release the information. We weren't prepared to do it tonight.
No.
Because
What do you mean
this,
you're not
again,
prepared?
we
You're gonna
weren't
put an
prepared
ad in
because
and
the
shut these guys down in a month.
we were only putting it on the agenda. That's why we were not prepared to,
So put
we
them
should
tomorrow.
have.
If
In
you have
hindsight, I
those
wish we
numbers,
would have.
Matt, why don't you put them out there?
Actually,
And I'm done. I mean, I'm just getting emotional, but as far as I'm concerned, I really do understand the plight. I know people in East Norton that are in fire companies that are really struggling. I understand it. But honestly, to not let these numbers out ahead of time, to give us the opportunity to say, all right, we agree with you. We're not hearing any of that. All it is like, we don't want you to know anything until the 27th. And then we're going to vote on it.
and on December 4th, but
Well, thank you very much,
mean-
everyone.
actually, let me address that,
Yeah.
because many of the numbers, they have. The volunteer fire company.
I don't.
You can ask them, they have the same numbers we do.
But you're my representative. Nick, you're my representative here. Can you get me the numbers?
Ask the fire company, they have them.
But you don't.
okay, you know what, I'm sorry, we did answer your question. We are going to release the statistics as soon as we
Early or on the
can.
27th?
We'll see what we can do, right, Matt?
Well, thank you so very much. I really do understand your plight, but as far as I'm concerned, there's a stinky fish somewhere around here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Commissioner,
Is there anyone else that wants to make a comment? These gentlemen have already spoken a couple times. Anyone that's going to make a
Commissioner
comment?
thank you. You said you've beaten the drum for 10 years. Thank you. Commissioner Lockhart, and I've found these discussions very beneficial. However, in your comments, just in response to the gentleman prior to this gentleman, it's the first time I've heard a clearly defined goal elucidated tonight. When you said your goal is to have everyone heard. Am I correct? I would submit to you and your fellow commissioners, that's not the target I would shoot for. It would be to do what's best for the residents of the township.
Yes, that was the target for tonight. I agree. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm Fred Standard. I'm still from Ward 2, and I still live at 2407 Parkside Avenue, in case you don't remember. Now, I've heard a lot of talk tonight. We've got 3 people on the Quint, because the Quint always makes the calls. I don't care if they call for an engine. I don't care if they call for a squad. The Quint's the one that always goes. It's also the one that uses the most gas. But you've got 5 people on a platoon, is that correct? Or 3 people on a platoon? I'm asking a question. I expect an answer.
Yeah, I mean, I would defer all those kinds of questions to.
There's 3 people working 24/7. So that means you got an officer, an engineer, and a firefighter. The engineer is supposed to stay with his truck at all times. The officer is supposed to take charge of the situation. Well, you can't take charge of the situation if he's doing the firefighting, because the one firefighter ain't going to handle it all. You need 2 people on a hose line to begin with. I've seen too many people go in with one hose line and get thrown all about because of the pressure on the hose line. They're talking about public safety. What are we doing about trying to get the paid firefighters and the volunteers to have a happy medium with each other? If I had a bunch of commissioners up here and I had a bunch of volunteer commissioners up here as well, how well do you think the volunteer commissioners are going to act when there's paid commissioners up there? They're not going to like it very well. Well, stop and think about the volunteer firefighters that have been fighting fires in this township for years, and then they're getting kicked to the curb for paid firefighters. Just think of that for a few minutes. What is the township doing to try to keep a happy medium between making the volunteers still welcomed to their firehouse along with the paid? What type of interaction are they doing? What type of intertraining are they doing? Are they doing any intertraining?
Are the volunteers doing intertraining?
Are they doing any intertraining with the paid? Are the 2 of them working together?
We have a very good relationship with.
You have to have, first of all, you have to want to come. You have to have the desire. It's got to be in your heart. These guys here, they all have it in their heart. But sometimes they turn around and they say, oh, well, the paid guys are going to get there first anyway. What good is it for us to do it? Especially on a fire alarm. Why should I show up? The paid are going to do it anyway. The paid's got it under control. So why should I? You start to lose heart. And as it keeps going, they're losing more and more heart. I can remember working with these guys 5-6 years ago. They were spot on. You need them somewhere? You had 2 trucks, 3 trucks from Upper Moreland. Everybody is hollering about volunteers. It's something that Montgomery County is hollering about, is volunteers. But yet nobody except for Upper Moreland Township has given up on volunteers.
No one's given up.
You're talking about decertifying. If that ain't giving up, what is, Commissioner Spearing? Huh? Tell me, if decommissioning or decertifying or not giving them funds isn't giving up on them, what is?
Fred, thank you very much for your comments. You have actually illustrated all of the things that are really near and dear to us and the most important things we have.
But still,
response times, okay?
Answer me a question, Commissioner Spearing. If you haven't given up, why are you defunding them?
I didn't say I was. I'm listening to the public here. Okay, we still have to vote on this. We're advertising for a vote, okay? We're advertising, we're having a committee meeting. The 27th is just a date that we have, that we're gonna hold this, another opportunity to speak to us and to speak back to you. It's a committee meeting. My phone, my email, every day, it's available. Send them. You didn't stop sending them all the time for anything else. Let me hear it.
I'm having it
We're
right
open
now.
for business.
Person to person.
24/7. Fred,
Maybe with the
come to
commissioners.
my house, knock on the door, we talk. I go to your house, we talk. It's an open dialogue.
I understand that, but I'm saying, I'm talking not only with you, but with all 5 of you. But you are my commissioner. And that makes a difference. Because I'm telling you what I would like to see done as my commissioner.
And you heard me talk to you about this is a real problem. And that's why I had that heart-to-heart with you about.
But here again, like you said, Brent Athen and Laura Moreland were supposed to merge together. Something fell apart and they didn't happen. Hatboro is a completely different amenity. They are a private company. The only thing that they get is a fire tax from Hatboro. That's it. Outside of that, they are a private company. They own every vehicle. They own their buildings. They own all their equipment.
You do work for Enterprise. You're a volunteer there also. You do mutual aid. You put fires out in my neighborhood. We do mutual aid to Hatboro. There's a nice relationship there. We do it with all the surrounding fire companies.
Right.
This is something we have to expand our relationship and our work on a regular basis.
But I still will say, and I'll say this wholeheartedly to all 5 of you, I feel that before you do anything with the volunteers, I feel that it should become a referendum on the primary ballot come when the primary election comes next year, to see what exactly the voters want to do. Because Upper Moreland, Willow Grove Fire Company has been a long time in existence. They've served this community for many, many years and the surrounding communities, like you said, with mutual aid. And they've been around for many years, and I just think it's a disgrace for us to kick a company to the curb without hearing how all the citizens of this township reacts to it, and not just a group of 7 people.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Rich Hefner, 176 Cowbell.
Excuse him, I'll be right back.
He's my commissioner, too.
Would you rather wait and have someone else speak?
Yeah,
then?
why don't we do that?
Okay,
Yeah, I mean, I think, yeah.
okay.
I don't mind.
Okay, sure.
When's we just had an election, and who's going to be on the board?
So Commissioner Valenza, his term ends at the end of this year, and he did not run again.
Right, so he's,
I am also off the board at the end of this
okay,
year.
so 2 of you won't be on the board come January.
Right.
Okay, and we're going to make a decision in December.
And Anthony Peruzzi is also a commissioner, and he will not be on the board, and there's 3 new commissioners taking his place.
So 3 commissioners, so 6 of you are making a decision in December. For our 7 are making a decision so that 3 won't be on the board come January. So 3 of you.
If the action passes.
If the action passes. But it already sounds like you guys have decided that it's going to.
That's
Well,
not fair to say.
you're already making plans for the 27th?
27th is a committee meeting. It's
People say, oh,
public safety
when
and
did
health.
this happen? Nobody told me. Well, now we're telling you. You got a month.
This is going to happen, so it sounds like you've already made your
Well,
decision, so.
try to the
All right.
27th.
About 15 years ago, my niece had an allergic reaction. You told me his name, but I forgot it again. Brian
Brian Fote.
lives on Cowbell. My niece lives on Sleigh Ride. He beached his truck on my brother's front lawn and saved her life. She was just in Upper Moreland, and she's the captain of the guard, and they just won champs. Had it not been for him. I ran with the fire department in Berks County for 6 or 7 years. I ran with a company up in Marshalls Creek in Monroe County. I want to run with these guys. I can't. I have some other stuff going on. The fact that this is even a thought disgusts me as a member of Upper Moreland Township. The fact that I had to hear more information from them about tonight disgusts me about this township right now. The fact that it was hidden under...
There was nothing hidden.
Oh,
Absolutely nothing
okay.
hidden.
On the agenda, it says, discuss Article 526.
Right.
Right. What's Article 526?
There's a process,
I understand there's a process.
okay, well.
But you're talking about removing a fire company that has actively served our community for over 100 years. And now you're hiding it, in my perception, that's fair, my perception,
You're entitled to that opinion.
okay, my perception, it was hidden. I had to find out more information from them. I emailed all of you. I emailed Valenza Saturday night. Now, I understand 11 p.m. at Saturday night, I might not get a response right away. But I have not gotten even an acknowledgement of my email. And it was a very vague email. What's going on? I wasn't trying to bait anybody because I've seen the volunteer fire company side of things. I've seen bad fire companies. And I fully, and with all due respect to you guys, can understand that there's always two sides to a story. But then come to find out, I'm standing behind them, with them. I want them to respond to my house. Now, my house isn't going to catch on fire, hopefully, but I want them to be responding because they're professional. I tried joining the fire department, and then COVID hit, and I had a whole bunch of other world personal problems going on. And my perception of the ins and the outs of that fire company is extreme. It's amazing. The level of professionalism that they have, the studies that they do amongst themselves during their trainings is by far none. I don't understand why our township would ever want to get rid of the Willow Grove Fire Company. I think it's completely inappropriate. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
So I'm not Fred. Nothing against Fred. Fred did a great job. I'm Chris Jones, 3724 Meyer Lane, again, Ward 5. So I've heard a lot of different things go on tonight. It's been a very spirited conversation. But I have to point out that we've not talked to you guys. We've not had a conversation. This agreement that was presented to us, there was no discussion that we were part of for that agreement. When it was presented to us, it was a document that looks to be prepared by a lawyer. I am not a lawyer. I don't pretend to be one. We had to hire a lawyer. So if that shut that process down of communications, that's a damn shame. That line of communication should have happened before that. I have not seen anyone except for Mr. Spearing at our firehouse. Kip's been in our firehouse maybe once in the last 3 years. I'm the president of the firehouse. I have not had a conversation with any of you. That's a damn shame. Wouldn't you agree? That we've gotten to this point and we've not had a face-to-face conversation? That we've sat down, discussed the issues that are at hand? Pennsylvania had a long history of firefighters. 1970s, there were 300,000 firefighters in the state of Pennsylvania. Right now, we're about 36,000. Huge change. Life has changed. We can't get the people that we need. Are we unable to respond to the level that we'd like? Abso-freaking-lutely. I bust my ass to come out. I'm in the top 5 at 57 years old of people that come to fires. I still work a full-time job. I do the best that I can. My guys do the best that they can. I would ask that the commissioners take a step back and say, are we doing the best that we can for the fire department? We have gotten a stipend. I got a check for $1,200. I pay taxes on that check. I'm going to pay taxes to this township on that check. I get a tax break that went into effect, I believe, 3 years ago, and I've seen one check for that. It was about $250. That's all I've seen out of that. I don't know what the bureaucracy is that keeps that from being processed through with some of the paperwork, but I've seen one check. There are 3 firefighters on duty right now that if something happened out of the station, they would immediately respond. As a taxpayer, I'm freaking thankful that we get a fast response. But we also have volunteers that can show up and do. We would like to come out more than we do. Some cases we can't, but what can we do to fix that? You see the signs around the township. We're putting signs all over the place. We're not getting any response to it. When we go to different events, we go to the food truck shows or the different events that go on. I saw you at the YMCA for Faith and Blue. I sit there and I walk up to folks, I walk up to mothers, I walk up to fathers. Are you interested? Nope. But I've got guys that are here that want to do it now. I don't want to see them get pushed out. So again, have you done enough? I don't think you have. We are willing to sit down and have a discussion. And that's all we're asking right now. Watched the video not that long. Mr. Whiting, you sat right there. You said volunteers are very important to us. And I appreciate that. And I hope that that's true for the rest of you. We discussed in our agreement, we asked to have a fire board. Something similar came up with one of the residents tonight. They asked about that. They said, I'd like to see a board with commissioners, residents of the township, members of the volunteer fire company. We asked about that. We were told emphatically no. I think that's a bad idea. Again, we go back to that line of communication. That would help. You've heard Fred talk about the hours that we put in. I'll tell you what, I bet you I would put our certifications of my members against any other fire department around here, and I'll bet you'd find out that we're probably the best. We have the most certified firefighters around here. We put a ton of work in. We've done everything you folks have asked. All I'm asking is to sit down and talk with you, face to face. The study, we asked to see that study. We were told no. I don't understand that. And I'm talking about the study that Sullivan put out. We asked to see that study so we could look at our own failings and determine what we could do to fix those, which direction we could go. We've never seen that study. We were told it was a draft and we can't legally show it to you. Why? What would it hurt? Not going to get an answer. Don't expect one.
Well, we don't know if we're going to see that on the 27th.
So, to sum up, we'd like to talk to you. Open that line of communications. I'll bet you pull out any single after-action report of anything that goes on. Communications is right there on the top. There's not enough of it.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Have you discussed your concerns with Chief Glassman?
Chief Glassman and I are not on the same Christmas card list.
Oh, well.
I think
sorry to hear that.
I think he's a nice guy. I have trouble talking with Chief Glassman.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I think I'm beginning to see the problem.
No, don't go there. We've sat down and we've talked, but I've been talked at, or at least that's how I feel. I don't get a warm and fuzzy from him. I know I'm not going to get a pat on the back. I don't expect that, but I would like to at least be heard, and I don't believe I'm being heard. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry, before you go, is there anyone here that has not spoken that would like to speak?
I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Go ahead. I was just going to ask a couple of questions myself, and maybe you'll answer. I don't, but. My name's Beth Hoagland. I'm at 2598 Carroll Lane. I didn't know anything about this meeting, and I was hoping to come tonight to learn more of why this even came on your agenda. Obviously, we're not going to hear that tonight. We're not going to hear anything as to the reasons behind until the 27th. That disappoints me, because we've done this dance with the commissioners in the past where we're not getting the information up front. Right?
Well, I mean, in general, it is because we're concerned about public safety. We're concerned about the number of active firefighters. We're concerned about response times. That is the reason.
So can you tell me how many calls that we've had this year and last year?
We will have this, we do have the statistics on that, and we will provide them. I promise you, we want to be transparent on this.
But respectfully.
But again, this meeting was to put it on the agenda and to discuss it. We clearly weren't prepared with the statistics to discuss it tonight.
But if we had more information provided to us tonight, maybe we could talk to the reasons why it shouldn't even get voted on. And now we're going to get it on the 27th. This is my concern, and it's a class act in this township, is you give it to us on the 27th, and within 1 week, you're going to vote on it. 1 week. That is not enough time to do due diligence for anybody in this room, including the lawyer. Now, I also heard that you guys sat down and talked to the members of the volunteers. Obviously, that did not happen because they hired a lawyer. Well, you guys already had your lawyer involved. So that's not fair. Get everybody to sit down and talk. I'd like to understand the whole situation. I don't want to wait till the 27th and try to digest it within a week's time. That's not enough time for people to really understand. I'd like to know what all the issues are. And I think that's fair, right? That's part of the Right to Know Act. We should try to understand that. I think to be respectful of everybody that volunteers, and we know volunteerism across the board. I was a member of Boy Scouts of America for over 20 years. It's tough to get volunteers. So we're talking about, if I heard correctly, defunding the volunteers, correct? Is that what the issue is?
Not decertifying.
But what happens with the money?
Honestly, I think that would, if we voted on this, that would be determined. I honestly don't know.
Okay, don't you think we should have potential solutions in place before you move forward? Presenting those potential solutions before you make any changes and voting on anything. I never, I'm a director of all kinds of things, and sourcing and procurement is one of them. We don't cancel out. We do not cancel contracts unless we have a solution already in place and it's been fully vetted. Matt, did you have something to say?
No, I was just going to try and clarify. I believe if there was a decertification, that the relief funds would go back to the state of Pennsylvania. We would not get relief funds. But that's my understanding.
Okay, so again, fact finding, right? We found out in Sycamore Village, there was a lot of wrong facts. And a lot of information was missing, including, sorry, counselor, but from the solicitor, right? So get the facts, present it to everybody in this room before any votes are taken, right? And if we need to table it till after January 1, then let's do that. Let's do the due diligence for everybody in Upper Moreland Township. I'm also concerned that we are continuing to build and build and build and putting more and more people in this township, and yet we're not adding more and more firefighters. If you come to me and say, Beth, we had, let's say, 200 fires this year, and we have 7 people full-time, that's not enough to cover, and now we're going to end up adding an apartment complex at Executive News with 240 apartments? That scares me. So thank you for your time. I wasn't even going to talk.
Question for you.
Yes.
You said we have done this dance with the township before.
Mm-hmm.
What are you referring to?
Sycamore Village, Kevin, I think you know that. We got 24 hours notice for the first meeting. I don't want to go down there.
All right,
It's
yeah,
over,
let's
it's
not-
done.
I thought you meant the fire. I just wanted to clarify.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nope, yep.
Thank you. Okay, I think this is the last one.
Well, she basically asked one of my questions already. I wanted to know if it should go through, what would happen to their money? And I'm guessing, I was going to ask you, Mr. Montler, do you have any idea for that, the legality of those funds? Basically, they came from the state, where they would go?
Right, yes, it's our understanding that the majority of those would revert back to the state. But
So-
when you decertify a volunteer fire company, the state auditor general, gets involved, and there's a process and a proceeding and an audit to determine equipment, monies, and the dispensation of all of those.
Has anyone even talked to the state about any of this yet to see? Or as Beth said, like to get all your ducks in a row before you step forward? Has anyone talked to the
Quite
state?
frankly, the conversation was never about money. It was always about safety.
I understand
and
that.
response times.
I understand that, but if that comes, then comes the money next. A leads to B, so it then comes the money. So then, don't you think we need to talk to the state? I mean, I don't know if anyone from the fire department, from the fire department has talked to them. So that was Beth already answered that, obviously, you don't know. The next question, Mr. Spearing, you keep mentioning about your expansion. You said you had conversations with Fred about going to expand, regionalize and expanding. Can you please clarify that? Like, are you talking about Upper Moreland, like hooking up with Hatboro Horsham? What
No.
exactly do you mean
No,
by
I
that?
actually, I mean, I've been very open and, my vision of this would be to expand and have a regional fire company that included, 2 townships and 2 boroughs.
So you're talking,
But listen, I've talked to electeds, I've talked to managers in other departments. This manager has reached out to every
I understand that. I'm just trying.
manager in the,
I'm trying
And-
to
and the manager
understand your
beforehand.
thinking here. I'm just trying to understand
Okay.
your thinking. So you're saying, basically, you're reaching other departments and they're all, like, multiple townships would come together and basically form one township, one fire department?
regional fire,
Yes.
regional first responders.
So,
We
okay.
have issues with second alarmers, we have issues with first responders, everything.
Okay, so
We can't get a dog
when you-
catcher,
okay.
okay? I mean,
I understand
it's
that.
that simple.
I understand that. I understand that. And your region, I'm trying to understand
Okay.
the process that you're talking about. Are you talking that regionalization being paid firefighters, or are you trying to do it with the volunteer firefighters? That
would be
was
a
my
com-
confusion.
It would be whatever, I would look for, I would think that if we had a regional fire company, we'd be able to use more volunteers than paid, yes.
Okay. So,
I'm not trying to get rid of anybody.
okay, so you could use more volunteer firefighters than paid. So if we brought the volunteer firefighters together regional-wise, is that something you're looking at?
Absolutely.
All right, that's what, I'm trying to clarify, it's just because you're throwing, some of these terms are coming out, and you've talked to here and there, but some of us don't know what your specific goal in mind is, and that's what I'm trying to find out. Okay, and the last thing is, Mr. Canlin, the study by Tom Sullivan, can you provide me the proper name so I can fill out the right to know form? Rather than just put study by Tom Sullivan, because last time I filled out a right to know form, I was told it wasn't the proper name. Can you provide me with that name so I can fill out that form and get that?
Sure.
You don't know it now?
I don't know off the top of my head, but if you want to send me an email or to give me your address and we can communicate, I can give that information.
Okay, all right, so.
Thank you.
You'll be here.
Okay, last one, I think.
Hopefully. My name is Anne Marie Jones, 3660 Roninger Road, and I have been listed as a member for 42 years. Sam, known you forever. My only question after looking at this as a active life member, years and years ago when we responded to fires, I was one of the major drivers. In order to get a truck out, I put my children on the floor of the firehouse. We don't do that stuff anymore, but we had a desire back then because we were wanted and we were needed. The question I have today, after all the years that the volunteers have been here, We are paying taxes to volunteer. Not that we're getting it for free, nothing. We've paid taxes. I just paid my tax bill to volunteer and hear this garbage. I hear, and it saddens me to no end, to hear the rules that don't want the volunteers to show up. They make it such a way that why should a volunteer get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? You're not needed. The pay guys will take it. There was a working house fire in a municipality that we've had mutual aid for years. We're not allowed to take the B truck across the street to assist with a working house fire. That's ridiculous. We never had this crap. And you know it, Sam. We never had this. So it's very, very disheartening after all these years and all the active hours that I have put in and my entire family, right down to grandchildren and everything, to see you're going to want to, discredit the volunteers in this station. Why would you discredit us when you're going to call for mutual aid? Keep the volunteers working in our township. Give us a reason to want to come, not the volunteers aren't needed. Don't come for certain hours. That's ridiculous. That's how bad the communication has come to. And it needs to stop. We are members of this community. We have lived in this community. We've raised our children, grandchildren, all over here. And it's just unbelievable that we would run the chance of our key fobs being turned off. And you're going to call a mutual aid company and wake their volunteers up? Come on. Where's the sense in that? Give us a reason to come. Give us a reason to pay taxes in this township so we can volunteer. Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, sir. The gentleman behind you was identified as the last speaker. Yeah.
Thank you.
If you want to make it real quick, but he's identified as the last one.
My name is Joe Madden. I live at 321 Dallas Road in Ward 4. As a member of this community, I would like to respectfully request you not to vote on this. This is going to be bad. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been a resident 37 and a half years here. I moved away, but I now have 57 years in the fire company. I'm here because I want to do a service to this community. Now, what I want to make clear is there are two different organizations you're talking about. You're talking about the fire company, Willow Grove Fire Company. You're talking about the Relief Association, which is a benefit organization for the volunteer firemen. They have their responsibility to provide support for these men and women in the case of injury, death, whatever it may be. Now, we as a relief association, which I'm president of and I'm secretary of the fire company, with what we do in the Relief Association, we are responsible to the state of Pennsylvania. Our funds come from them. This township is a conduit to get the money to the volunteer fire companies that support the township. Abington Township, they have 5 companies. All the money goes to the township, and they divide it between the fire companies. We have one, the money comes to the Willow Grove Fire Company. Now, you wanted an agreement with the fire company. Why would you include the Relief Association? There's only one reason I can see that you want to have access to the funds.
Pardon me, what did you say? You want
Access to the funds of the Relief Association. Now, I'll tell you one thing that happened. just a short while ago, the air compressor went that we fill our air bottles with. So who do you come to buy a new one? The relief. We could do it. It's a safety item. Even though the career guys use the same air, that's all right, as long as the volunteer fire company is using it too. So we spent, what was it, $90,000 that you guys had in the budget. And you took it out when you saw we paid for it. So we're not trying to hide anything from you. We're trying to do everything we can for this township. But you don't like it when we try and spend money to benefit the firemen, to give them insurance, to give them a length of service award. You don't consider that as a benefit, and they don't deserve it, I guess. So I want to make this clear to everybody here. Our funds are not the fire company funds. It belongs to the relief, a separate organization incorporated in the state of Pennsylvania, and we are only associated with the fire company. And every member of the fire company is a member of the Relief Association, so they can get the benefits. So if you would listen to this, and if you would not have included the Relief Association in this agreement that you've drawn up, you would have had no problems. The fire company is willing to work with this township in every way they can. And they probably wouldn't even have any legal problems, because we would have had no reason to discuss this with you, because you wouldn't be involved with the relief. But since you did, we had to spend money to get a lawyer, because we're protecting that state money. And as you know, you requested an audit last year of the fire company off the standard calendar of doing it, because you wanted to see what was wrong with the relief.
You're making an awful lot of assumptions.
Well, that's sure what it looked like, because this was coming along.
That's your opinion.
If that's my opinion,
But
and I'll accept
a lot of
that.
things that you're saying that you think I'm thinking are incorrect.
Well, I won't argue with you, sir. But the point is, we were audited, and we were found without a flaw. In fact, we were told we had better records and books than almost any other fire company in the area. Okay? So there's nothing wrong with that. We told them what we did with the insurance policies, because we were losing money trying to pay these policies. And we wanted to give a better benefit to the members. And I know the word got around that we cashed this in, we got this big bundle of money. And your eyes lit up. What can we spend it on? Okay?
More assumptions.
More assumptions, but that's the way it's coming back to us. And why did you include us in there, in the agreement, if it doesn't matter to you? So I just want to make this clear, that we were a separate organization, and we're going to support the fire company as far as we can. And we're going to protect the money that belongs to the firemen. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll make one procedural suggestion. I think the gentleman who was up here a little earlier made a very good point. I think there's a lot of turnover coming on this board. And obviously, the issues here are very weighty. There's a lot of public interest. And regardless of where you fall, what you think of the concerns that have been expressed here, they're important public issues. So I would respectfully suggest that it would be better for the new board in January to study this issue, to discuss this issue with the public, and to vote on this issue.
just one point I want to make to that is that these commissioners that are here and won't be here next year, they have a lot of experience and know a lot of knowledge about our township and the fire company.
It'll be reported on the 27th.
I'm sorry.
It'll be reported on the 27th when all the other stuff comes out. They can learn, they can adopt it, they can get up to speed.
And we should have a full board here, not five out of seven.
Yeah, where are they? Where are the newly elected people?
There were health issues.
No. And they're like the people aren't taking office.
Respond to my email, you can talk to me.
All right, thank you. And we'll move on.
I'd like to call a vote.
Oh, yeah. Call the vote. No. And we have to call the vote on the floor. They got motion to call the vote. We have to call the vote, then you can speak, if our chair will allow you.
I'm calling a vote.
We didn't make a motion.
Yes, Sam
we
did make
did.
a motion.
You
And you seconded it.
Okay.
You did.
All right,
So I'm
very good.
calling the vote to advertise, just advertise a draft ordinance repealing ordinance number 526 to be considered by the Board of Commissioners at their December 4th, 2023 regular meeting. All in favor? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes.
So when do we have this meeting tonight? You had your mind made up.
Okay, the Finance Administration Committee recommends the Board of
You know what, I'm sorry. I think we're going to move to CDC, if that's okay.
Okay.
Some of the other public,
We'll come back to Finance Administration.
I know you like to get yours done.
Yeah.
Commissioner Valenza. Commissioner Spearing? Can we hear recommendations from the CDC committee?
Okay.
He's not ready. Just let me do it.
Got it.
There's a lot
Good.
of public things.
I got more.
Community Development Committee.
Gavel.
Community Development Committee has a few action items this evening.
What letter are we starting with here?
We'll go right down the agenda. Code enforcement, we have no issues. Item number 2, land development and subdivision applications. Motion approved, resolution R 2023-26, granting approval of land development application to Township Municipal Complex.
Second.
Motion and second. Resolution R 2023 enables the township to take action on land development on this complex right here.
Ed.
Can we take that outside?
Can you close the door, please?
Ed.
Chief Glassman?
We have a motion and second for Resolution R 2023-26, granting approval of land development application to township for the municipal complex. This includes the land development for the construction of a new police station. Any other
Second?
comments?
Did we get it?
Yes, I can second.
You did second, thank you. We discussed this in committee. Do you want to go through the waivers? Or do we need to?
Yeah, we will. We'll do.
No.
Well,
I don't know that we need to.
Now we do the waivers, Kevin.
Okay.
Before we vote on it.
Right.
You vote on it includes the waivers.
Correct.
So 4A. Page 3.
Yeah, hold on. I have to get it up here. Yeah. It's not coming through. Thanks.
Doesn't be paper, Matt.
All right, easy, Sam. We're getting there. Okay. We have a list of waivers for this particular land development resolution. Number one, the letter A, for the requirement of preliminary plan submission to permit applicant's plan to be classified as preliminary and final.
Second.
Motion and second for this. This is a pretty a typical request that land development that's submitted with qualifying details is considered preliminary and final at the same time. Any other comments on that?
Any public, community comments? Okay, all in favor?
Wait, can you clarify, this is the motion to?
This is regarding the police station. It's a waiver to, that this plan would be considered the preliminary and the final plan, land development plan.
For the police station?
For the police station. It's a very common
All this is
waiver.
for the police station.
Yeah, this is for,
Yeah, that's it.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, next waiver.
Okay. Waiver letter B, for the requirement that all land development plans show detailed survey information for an area of 400 feet surrounding the project. Sufficient. Another typical, take a second on that, please.
What's that?
Second.
For the requirement that all land development plans show detailed survey information for an area of 400 feet surrounding the project.
Any commissioner comments?
Second.
Community comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Next. Waiver C.
Waiver C, from the requirement that one shade tree be planted in each parking lot island. Sam?
You gonna do the rest? Second.
Motion's another typical, frequently asked waiver when there are certain conditions that don't permit a tree to be planted on an island. And due to usually the diameter of the tree, like a 5-foot island, it doesn't.
I think it's
sustain
only,
tree growth.
sorry, I think it's only for one tree, otherwise all the required
Tree
tree,
cannot be planted in
all the
one-
required trees are being planted by the
One of the
township.
islands located in the parking lot between the police station and the library due to location of the proposed underground stormwater basin.
Any commissioner comments? Community? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Waiver, next waiver, letter D, from the requirement to park, that Park Avenue have a minimum cart width of 30 feet.
Second.
Okay, Park Avenue is a connected roadway. It's just not 30 feet wide. This is the same waiver that we granted to Federal Realty, because the road is just a little bit shy of 30 feet.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments or community? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Okay. Letter E, from the requirement that the street tree be planted along existing proposed street at intervals between 40 and 60 feet.
Second.
Okay, motion and second. The project proposes 3 street trees along Center Avenue, where 9 would be required by this section. There's several reasons why the trees can't be planted for obstruction, where the building is, and legitimate reasons why the trees can't be there. Again, whenever we ask for this, whenever we're asked about this waiver, we plant trees somewhere else.
And this is basically for site distance issues with the police department leaving the facility and going onto the roadway.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Community? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Passes.
What page are we on?
Waiver letter F.
If you're looking at the PDF, it's page 49.
Page 4 of the, it starts with the resolution. Okay,
Final waiver?
Finally,
Hang on, do you know where we're at? If you go to the community development, we're doing the land development subdivision applications 2A. So if you go to 2A, or wherever, motion to approve resolution 2326, that's where we're at,
Okay.
all right? And we're on page 4 of that document.
yeah,
Go ahead, sorry, Kev.
that's all right. I got.
Do you have anything else on this?
I told her to take it back. Mine came up.
Do you care if I read it? Are you finding it?
You want me to read it?
No, I mean, I already read, what,
F. I can do it, Kev.
go ahead, read the resolution.
Okay, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
On the requirements of these sections that replacement trees be planted on site to offset removal of existing trees and heritage trees removed during construction. Lansing plan also proposes 18 replacement trees, where 33 were required by Saldo. Available planting area on site is the primary constraint, reducing the ability to comply. Township may consider planting trees in open space or on park areas in other parts of the township to make the deficiency on this site.
Is there a second?
We did it. Oh, no, we didn't.
Anybody second?
So I'll second that. Thank you,
Thank you.
Commissioner Valenza.
Any commissioner comments? Community? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Passes.
Yeah,
Okay, now,
that passes the waivers. Now we'll vote on the resolution at this point.
okay, I'm calling a vote
Waivers, right, Kev? Yeah.
for the resolution R 2023-26, granting approval of land development application for the Upper Moreland Township Police Station. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Thank you.
Next agenda item is, there are no zoning hearing meetings due to the Thanksgiving holiday. Next scheduled zoning hearing meeting will be December 14th. The Community Development Committee recommends Resolution R 2023-27, granting approval of waiver to permit other fees to the Upmoreland School District for upcoming renovations to the administration building.
Second.
Motion and second. We normally have these conversations whenever the school district applies for a land development or something that requires action from the township. And we get a request to waive the fees because it's a break to the taxpayers.
There's no waivers
Well-
on this, right?
I'm not happy about this. $66,000 we're gonna give them, they wanna charge us, I don't know, $7,000 or $12,000 a year to use their facilities. doesn't seem equitable. It just seemed to me that we ought to be able to, when they make such a large request like this, we should get credited against what they charge us to run our summer school.
So we have been having that conversation for years, and, you know, we have gotten much closer to an understanding between the township and the school district. And Cheryl, if you want to jump in there, add more about a conversation you had recently.
We have discussed it, the fees charged for facilities. We also got additional information from Pat Stasio, the head of the Parks and Rec Department.
And it was presented to the school district.
Yeah, right, we discussed it at a meeting with the school district. The next step, if we want to continue the discussion with them, is to provide the school district some more information. Or
I'm not in favor.
You're right.
I'm not in favor of doing this yet.
You're right, but
So over the years, this issue has come up a lot. I can tell you that, I think you guys saw the email, Pat Stasio feels like they have a great relationship working with the school district and using each other's facilities. One thing that I did learn is that, yes, the school district does charge us, but they charge everybody. We don't charge them, but we don't charge other groups either. So I think each is treating the other per their policy. But on the other hand, it is the township policy to also charge for permit fees. So I think that's kind of the question.
question to Matt. Do you know what we've paid the school district? No, yes, paid the school district to date, or right around this date?
You might have seen those numbers more recently, Commissioner Lockhart, but
Yeah,
I think.
I can speak to that a little bit. So for in 2022, it looks like we pay a $14,000 flat fee plus $15 per participant in any programs that use their facilities. And that amounted to about $12,000. So
So I would like to ask you to change your motion to do it $66,000 minus what we paid to date.
Exactly. I think that's awesome. Or table this so we have further
Yeah,
discussion.
well, we can table it. That's all right too.
Discussions with the school district.
Yeah, because it's not one-sided. It seems to be one.
If I have a motion to table, that has to take precedence.
Yeah, correct.
is there a second? We need a second for that?
Made the
I
motion.
think I might have seconded it. I think I
We'll
seconded
get to public comments. Thank you.
Hang on.
You
So
did-
I think I did.
Oh, I'm
second
sorry,
it.
you
Yeah.
did. Okay.
So you're making a motion to table?
Table this until we have a further discussion with the school district. Because I think, when they ask us for 66,000, we should be able to ask them for 14,000.
Okay, any
So you made
other?
a motion to table, I'll second it. You have to, that's rules of order, and you have to
Yeah,
call the
there's no
motion.
discussion on that. We just did.
And once the motion's called, then if it's nay, then we can offer it up. If it is affirmative, then we table it till we have this next month or whatever.
We still take public comments here?
Well, you can, but just,
No, you vote on the motion for tabling.
okay.
Okay.
Not
All-
on table motions. You don't.
All in oh, I'm
On
sorry.
the vote to
To table.
table the motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of tabling?
Say aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, tabled until the next regular
Off the
meeting
agenda.
on December 4th.
Yes, yeah, you'll have to reopen it. If you guys decide that you still need more time, you table it again.
Okay.
It has to be raised at December 4th.
Yes, it should be the first.
Thank
item
you.
of business, right?
So we ended up not taking comments because we tabled it. We're not going to vote on it tonight.
Whether you vote or not, why can't I be heard?
Because we're not taking action on this item.
Can we still?
You can still entertain public comment if you'd like, but
Can I
I'm-
just
for the
say,
rules, you do not
the
have.
first meeting of the month is not a committee meeting. Committee meetings is where you take comments. It's just a vote. We had the first meeting here today because it was never brought up before in committee. So you can have a question, but it's tabled, so there's no question. We go right to the next item on the way protocol is.
This issue has been discussed in this room on numerous occasions in many public meetings.
Let her have a question.
Go ahead.
I agree.
It's up to you.
Please come up to the
Chair, you can
podium.
decide.
Question, either way, I'm just, sorry, I'm just confused. Because either way, it's tax money.
Agree.
We agree.
Yeah, but
It's-
if we take $66,000 out of our budget to give to the school districts, that's $66,000 in our budget that we can't spend on
It's an
something.
unfunded expenditure.
Yes.
Which
but
has to be
then-
taxed next year.
And then the rest of it. So either way, okay, if you charge them the $66,000, then our taxes go up and we're still paying more.
No,
If you
no.
don't, then yours, so.
School
it's-
tax,
Well, yeah, maybe your school taxes would have to pay for it, but then there would be less to pay for the township tax. Agree? It's something we just want to have a good cooperation with the school district on this
Facts that
issue.
just got
But
taken.
yes,
We'll kick this conversation to a committee meeting and to administration.
in other words, it doesn't matter to the taxpayers.
We are
Yeah,
very
that's what she-
concerned about taxpayer dollars, and that's how this got on the agenda.
I am concerned about how many kids we can send to the summer camp program, okay? And $66,000 would go a long way. We have a long waiting list for that program every year. And personally, some of the school districts should be running anyway. But we're getting in the weeds.
okay, thank you.
Okay, item B, on our other items, motion to approve the cost of emergency repair of the chimney of the Township Administration Building.
Second.
Motion and second. We realized that we had a problem and we have to spend money on it, so it needs action by the board.
$10,000. Any commissioner comments? Community comments? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Passes.
Item C, motion to approve consent to use Upper Moreland Township easement and right-of-way areas in agreement with the right-of-way areas agreement between John and Eileen Long, and the property located at 2300 Maryland Road in the Township Private Storm Connection.
Second.
This is discussed in committee. Property owner came to us and wanted to hook up to our system and identified the reasons and a plan to go forward, and we moved it out of committee.
Commissioners, I'd just like to make a note for the record too. So you have a final agreement that you're approving this evening, but it is also contingent upon Mr. Long providing the township with a fully engineered and sealed plan.
Yeah.
Which is not provided to date. So
Thank
just be
you.
aware that if that doesn't come to fruition, this project will not happen.
The approval of this is contingent on that. Thank you very much.
Any other? I'm sorry, are you done? Any other commissioner comments? Community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. Next.
CDC Committee recommends motion to approve the purchase and cost of extra trash toters of $100 for a 95-gallon toter and $75 for a 45-gallon toter.
Second.
Against, heavily discussed in committee over a couple of months. This is for the new trash toters that we distribute throughout the township. We've had a request by a few residents that they need more. There's no additional fee to pick up the second toter. You just have to pay for the toter itself at a cost of $100 for the large ones and $75 for smaller ones.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Item E, motion to approve conditional use decision and order between Uppermoreland Township and BT Blair, property located 2300 Computer Avenue, 2309, 2317 Blair Mill Road,
Second.
known as the Executive Muse.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. Conditional use hearing and was held in this room. Sketch plan was held in this room. Extensive conversations between the applicant and Uppermoreland Township, CDC meetings, general meetings where they gave a sketch plan. And the CDC committee is recommending this action. And we have, okay, any comments?
Yeah, I have a comment. So I do not support this approval. I don't feel like it complies with our requirements of open space and considering natural features, either existing or new. I think that due to the density, I feel like it can't really comply with that requirement. So I don't support this conditional use approval.
I don't support it either.
Nor do I.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, I recommend that we reconsider supporting this particular item. There's been extensive conversations about it, and density's been the only issue that has been a blockade to this item.
Mr. Spearing, if I could be heard, Matthew McHugh, attorney for the applicant. Just based on the commissioner comments we're hearing tonight, we've, I think, presented a full application that shows compliance with the ordinances. We've had discussions with the township solicitor on a set of agreeable conditions. That being said, there are a number of members of the Board of Commissioners that are not here this evening. It would be our preference to have a full board make a render a decision on that application. So if it's possible, we ask that it be tabled this evening then.
Well, unfortunately, we have a deadline.
And understand.
Only by waiver of that deadline from you are we able to,
And the applicant will certainly waive that deadline and provide an extension of time to the township to render a decision. Can provide Mr. Baumler with written evidence of that, but obviously would do it on the record here this evening.
Alex?
That's perfectly acceptable. Again, we can't waive that 45-day deadline, but he can certainly agree to an extension on behalf of his client.
And we have satisfied that need for the extension here?
Yes.
And
I'm certainly
I would
happy-
like it in writing, obviously. and-
Yeah, I certainly will
but
follow up
it will-
tomorrow morning, Mr. Baumler's office, putting in writing that we would agree to, and we can consider whatever the date would be, Alex, for the next meeting.
Right.
So that the board has sufficient time to render that decision. But I think, given the comments that we're hearing on lack of support, we'd appreciate the opportunity to have the whole board consider the decision.
Okay, before we make some other consideration, I think there's a couple people, while the floor's still open, because the commissioner has not recommended us table it yet, I'm going to give people an opportunity to be
No,
heard.
but we're happy to hear the additional comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jennifer Herring, 1515 Sycamore Avenue. First, I'd like to thank those of you who support. Those of us from Ward 3, we've already talked about how built up it already is. And I would like to remind everybody, I went over some statistics a couple of years ago when we talked about North Willow Grove Park. The soil there is rated as the top soil in all of Montgomery County. If you look in Montgomery County's plans, you will see that one of the reasons it is rated so well is because it holds the water with slow absorption. And the more we've built, the more flooding we have had. So please also take into account that. And in addition, within that area, which is rather close to North Willow Grove Park, there are 5 FEMA flood zones there. And I know in the past, they have talked about the grading and everything for the drainage. Well, no matter how much drainage you put in, it still has to go somewhere, so there's going to be flooding. And that is also stated in Montgomery County's plans. You will see it, the best type of prevention for flooding is soil. By taking out those trees and wiping out that area, you are not only getting rid of the wildlife, you are destroying the soil and causing more flooding. So all that, take into account. Now, that doesn't take into account the population, which I did have a question, sir. I was told that there was a study presented that they came up with 16 kids were going to be going to the schools. I would like, does anyone know the name? Well, Mr. Canlon just dropped that. Does anyone know the name of that study?
There's multiple information available on this. You just call the township. Tomorrow morning, you can get everything that was discussed here.
Okay,
Okay,
Mr. Spearing, do you know what I need to ask for, though? Because when I've done that in the past, I keep getting, you need to be more specific. You need to be more
There was,
specific.
I can tell you right now, there was numbers presented by the developer, and there was numbers that were speculated by the school district.
Ask for them in relation to the conditional use.
And that was discussed right here in this.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Ask for any of the documents that you're looking for and related to 2300 executive use, conditional use application.
Okay,
In their minutes,
all right, so.
meeting minutes also.
Yes, but the meeting minutes don't give all that data in the name.
I understand.
So.
Anything that they presented and moved into the record at the last hearing is part of that record and will be available to you.
All right. And one last thing, I would just like to also throw it out there. As a reminder, our environmental factor, just a couple months ago, you passed the no plastic bags law in Upper Moreland for the detriment to our community. Here, if that's detrimental, what is wiping out all these trees? They're decreasing our air quality, they're increasing flooding, okay? Giving off more carbon dioxide. They also provide a sound barrier because there is a preschool right next door. So that sound barrier is a big thing, not to mention the wildlife that goes into that.
One of the things that's available is their plan that shows what trees they're going to plant. That's available.
Mr. Spearing, if they're going to build, those trees are coming down. There's no construction trucks getting in without those trees going down, you know it. So,
Well, one comment is understand that we do need to follow our ordinance. We can't just say, we don't want you taking down
I
any trees.
understand.
We're not
But
able
there
to do
is-
that.
There is a certain, in our ordinances and our township open space plan, we have a certain percentage of open space. And by far, Ward 3 does not have that percentage. You're looking at overall. And the more we keep building, the less open space. Our goal was to get more open space. If you look at Montgomery County's open space plan, which Upper Moreland's open space plan was, the goal was to increase open space, and we have decreased it.
Agree. If we owned this parcel, it would be open space. We don't own it.
I understand that, but there are preventions we can do, measures we can set in place to prevent some of this stuff.
Yes, thank you.
And I'd just like to make one more comment. Please just bear in mind that the vote this evening that will be tabled or extended until December, possibly, is for conditional use approval only. So this is just whether they have met the legal standard under the zoning ordinance and the township's other ordinances to have an apartment complex use. Trees, earth disturbance, stormwater, landscaping, sidewalks, all of those are covered under a separate proceeding known as subdivision and land development. So once that approval for a use, if it's approved by this board goes through, there's a whole other review and approval cycle for all of those things on that site.
We'll get to it in land development.
Can I help you? Did you have some comments about the executive use?
I'm listening to him, what he
Okay.
says, and so you're saying, but my thing is, if they have met all the requirements, how much longer before they meet all the other requirements? And I'm going to say, I'm not in Ward 3, but I'm
Neither is
in Ward
this.
4.
This project's not in Ward 3 either.
Oh, whatever, but what I'm saying is, there's not enough open space. We need more open space, and
Agree.
we need, our animals. We need animals in the world. You need animals. You just can't, they're all pushing out. You see them all over the place. You see them on Welsh Road. They're developing there. I know that ain't our township on the other side, but we have so much right there that I think another apartment complex, we have the apartments on Maryland. All that big apartment building, they didn't do green space there. They say it won't affect a lot of things. I'm going to read in the thing. I'll get it tomorrow because I wasn't here for the last meeting or the discussion. But what I'm saying is they've already things aren't going to affect. And I'm right around there. It's not going to affect. Already, I see traffic lights. Not only do we got a traffic light at Walmart, we got a traffic light now going in at Lowe's and the other shopping center. So we're not even 100 feet and we got traffic light. So where are all these animals going to?
It's well over 100 feet, just to make it,
What's that?
it's well over 100 feet between the lights.
Okay.
Well, it's over, I never saw somebody,
Okay, I got your point.
all I'm saying is take into
Right,
consideration.
so I just, this is an existing
Right,
business complex, and it's redevelopment. It's not really taking any open space away, and they're required to contribute towards it.
But what I'm saying is it's so secluded and nice back there. I can't see an apartment building with, I think, what's it, 272 units or 242? I can't see it not looking like everything else around there.
We can't stop people from building things on the property they own.
Correct.
Most we can do is try to modify it, control it.
But with the runoff and stuff like that in this township,
It'll be better than it is now. Has to be.
no.
It's required.
I don't.
Yep, it's
Well,
required.
It's required for what, to put drums underneath the ground? What,
It's required for them, before they get the ability to do land development, or through the land development process, to keep every bit of water from that property on that property. Am I right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well.
So that's our job, to make sure that happens. But that's land development, it's not conditional use.
Right.
I mean, I understand, I'm 100%, we're all 100% on
I
stormwater.
understand. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello, Sandra Richmond, Ward 3, 1505 Sycamore Avenue. I want to thank you for not approving the conditional use as of tonight anyway. I really appreciate that, and I feel that you listened to the concerns, and thank you for that. I have some comments about the natural features concern. And I don't see how this property can ever meet the requirement for conditional use when I'm reading here, the property is made of 3 parcels, 1 large parcel and 2 smaller parcels. The 2 smaller parcels are heavily wooded and are proposed to be cleared with the development as stated in our review of the associated zoning map amendment. And this is from the Planning Commission. The proposal would strip the site completely of mature trees and existing natural features. One of the criteria listed for the conditional use requires that the developer preserve existing or incorporate new natural features, such as trees, streams, and open spaces. And respectfully, when you say that if you could preserve this, you would have, but I think it was a misstep to allow the combination of 2 differently zoned properties into one, because we wouldn't be considering this development the way it is if those parcels had not been combined into I industrial, allowing for this type of property to be built on all of the area rather than just the one area that the zoning would have mandated a look at for apartment buildings.
Thank you.
And so, so I'm disappointed in that, but I think this also speaks to a larger issue that we have in this township. As I mentioned last time, the 2040 comprehensive plan planned for 881 additional residents by the year 2040. In 2023, including this development, we would be at 1,950 additional residents. And I can go through my math, but I used a conservative multiplier to come up with that number, and it likely would be higher. So we are at a point here where the train is careening down the tracks at an uncontrollable speed. And I really want you to question why the underlying assumption is to keep the zoning the way it is and allowing development at an uncontrolled rate when we're well past where we expected to be in 2040. And when you look at the comprehensive plan from 2040, the residents' input was about enjoying the small town character of Upper Moreland, of preserving open space, preserving trees. And we also, residents said that they did not like apartment buildings. Well, we have plenty of them now. Where do we stop? Where are we going here? We really need to review what we're doing with zoning and the overall picture, because I don't think that the township is following what was set out in that plan for the priorities for this township at this point. It started out with the right intentions, but things have changed, conditions have changed. We have many more people here, and things have changed, and it needs another look. Because with the zoning the way it is, the next company that wants to buy a parcel in I industrial, we're going to be going down the same path again. And the residents of this township are upset with the amount of people coming in, the services being stressed, and the open space being lost.
Sandra, let me bring this to your attention, that this committee is very concerned about density, and that's the primary reason that there's consideration against this. I can tell you, the same 2040 plan and the committee from Montgomery County came in this room and appealed to this Board of Commissioners to change our zoning throughout in the whole residential aspect of every area to increase the density. And this board told them no. We consider the impact on the school district and everything that you just said. So we hear you, and thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Hillary Yoder, 190 Lookout, Ward 6. I was here at the hearing. I spoke and I asked the board if we needed these apartments, and I was told there's a waiting list at the station. I went home that night and found 7 available. Sitting back here today, I found 14 available apartments.
How many?
14.
14, okay.
I'm asking the board to consider if we need this. We have another building that's already been approved, not even been built. Once the station's not even full yet. And we're building another one. Do we need a third one or a fourth one? Okay. I just want you to have the most correct information when you make these decisions.
Thank you. One more comment?
Ron Bogus, 2055 Carlson Drive, Ward 4. While we were discussing earlier response times, with the increase in residency, which far exceeds the predictions, is there a plan in place, or will there be a plan in place for emergency services to be able to handle the increase in incidents?
Our chief will certainly
We do not exceed
continue
those
to review
predictions
that.
right now. We're not, they're our estimates, and they were the estimates of Montgomery County. And we do seriously consider all these issues with every land development, including the recommendations by Montgomery County Planning Commission to increase our density in R3, R4, and R2. And we said no. They're very serious concerns. And no, there's no plan right now because we're not at those numbers. But they're very real, and I thank you for bringing them to our
You
attention.
think at some time there may be a discussion to?
Absolutely. Every time there's an additional land development or change, any change at all that affects that, we will have a consideration for that.
Thank you.
I just want to say also, there are 19 parks in this township, 19 parks. Woodlawn, big park. Farmstead Park, big park. Pileggi, big park.
West Pole Grove.
Right?
North Willow Grove.
Small
Willow
part.
Grove, exactly. Well, yeah, but I agree.
And the power line trail, which is an expansion of recreational area. All right, hearing all these comments about density and an appeal from the applicant to table this, I motion that we table this to another,
December 4th.
to December 4th.
I'll second it. All right.
Okay,
And we'll provide an extension to December 4th for the board to take
That's the
action.
most important thing we need. Thank you very much.
thank you. All in favor of tabling, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's tabled.
Okay. Next item on the agenda for CDC is item F, motion to approve the request by Federal Oil Investment Trust for an extension of temporary certificate of occupancy for parcels. Motion and second. This is a reasonable request for, to get a CO for things that need to be completed. This is, our staff is very much aware of this and has had several discussions with Paul Bertel, our code enforcement officer, and the CDC recommends this request.
Thank you. Any other commissioner comments? Public? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
That concludes the Business and Community Development Committee meeting. Thank you for attending. Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, Commissioner Valenza, should we go back to Finance and Administration?
Okay, the Finance Administration Committee recommends the following. The motion to approve the appointment of Michael Lavecchio on the Historical Commission to fill the vacancy left by Al DeMarcessian and complete the remainder of the current 3-year term that will expire 12/31/2024.
Second.
Again, we discussed the committee and we unanimously moved them forward.
Any other commissioner comments? Community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes.
Okay. 1B, motion to approve the appointment of Ginny Matamoro on the Historical Commission to fill the vacancy left by Michael Lavecchio and complete the remainder of his current 3-year term that will expire 12/31/2025. Kev?
Second.
Second. Any?
Again, discussed the committee, they're actually just switching places, I guess you would say.
Yeah, that's right.
Aye.
So, yeah, and they're happy with both doing it. They're approved by the Historical Commission. Everything for the Historical Commission gets approved by them, comes to us.
Okay. Commissioners, community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, motion to approve the appointment of Brian Tompkins on the Historical Commission to fill the vacancy left by Robert Mathers and complete the remainder of his current 3-year term that will expire 12/31/2023.
Second.
This is only a month, so you'll have to ask him about re-upping next year.
In your
Again,
absence?
yeah. Again, discussed in committee, and he was approved, and moving forward, Bob Mathers was a realtor position on the Historical Commission, that was removed, so they could fill it with any vacancy. And he moved forward, and we're happy to move him forward.
Okay. Any commissioners or community comment? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Committee list approves the, recommends the approval of the following general fund checks, beginning with check number 1390484 and 109374. For a total of,
Wait, let's do those numbers again.
okay, beginning with check number 139084084 and ending with check number 139374 for a total of $1,510,121.97 with one void, 139190.
Second.
We're not done yet. Next is the escrow fund checks, beginning with 9686 and ending with 9695 for a total of $20,317.28 with no voids. And then there's liquid fuel fund checks, beginning with check number 3099, ending with 3102 for a total of $617.61 with no voids. Now, Kev.
Check.
All right.
Any commissioner comments, public comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Bills are approved.
Okay. Now we go to section 3, other items. Section 3A is a motion to approve resolution R 2023-23, authorizing the sale of surplus police vehicles.
Second.
Authorizing the sale will generate $26,000 for the township for 2 vehicles that are, I guess I would say, very well used, and one of them has issues. Okay?
Okay, any commissioner comments? Community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay. Next is motion to approve the agreement authorizing, is it you or Hal? Matt? Hal Associates to collect residential and commercial recycling data and prepare the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection's 904 recycling grant application for Upper Moreland Township.
Second.
You want to talk on this? It should save us close to $40,000.
Yeah, this is a firm we've used for a number of years, and they're able to gather data and prepare grant applications, and they're able to get us more money. So we set a baseline, and anything they're able to get over that baseline, they're able to keep a certain percentage. So it's actually turned out to be a win for us, and that's why we keep doing it.
Okay, commissioners, community? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Make a note that it's 4-0, because
Motion passes.
Matt, 4-0, Nick, Matt, Kevin. Nick, Commissioner Skull left the room, so. Okay.
you.
Next is C, 3C, motion to approve the allocation of the second round of the ARPA funds.
For a second?
This was heavily discussed over the last 2 months, 3 months.
Yes.
And we sat down with the finance, sat down with the township staff, and we come up with a slate of candidates and projects to take on and move forward with. This will complete our ARPA funds. We do have $300,000 set aside for grant opportunities, and close to it, right around that number. So I want to thank everybody for their time and effort in making this happen.
Agree. I second that. So one comment I wanted to make is that there was discussion in committee of whether we want to reconsider an allocation to St. Vincent de Paul.
I mean, that's going to be there all next year. You can always throw it on.
Yeah, I agree, and I agree with Sam too. Just because it's not here on the list doesn't restrict us from taking further action on that in the future. And I will support that.
But you don't support it now?
I do support it now. I absolutely do support it now, but again, the criteria that I'm looking for is that these are mental health conditions, and that Montgomery County is not doing their part to step up and accept the responsibilities that go along with people in need and mental health conditions that really exist. So that was just something I'd really like to latch on to, money that we give to.
So you want to follow up on that before we?
And I have followed up on it,
allocate to-
and you were at the meeting, so.
Okay.
Additional discussion regarding the support by.
But don't say it's mental health concerns. It's poor people. It's poor people.
I understand that, but Commissioner Skull, you know more about this St. Vincent de Paul Society than anybody in this room. So what I'm saying is that just giving somebody a handout is just like the symptom. So we need Montgomery County to apply that mental health benefits that they have so that the people can find some money for themselves the next time.
One thing I wanted to note is the group that we're talking about here, the group of people that they help are not homeless people. They tend to be people that they're trying to help stay in their
Pay
apartments.
their bills.
Right, and they've
put
used a
heating
lot of their
on
money
there,
to do that and
groceries.
continue to do that now. So I'm actually in favor of allocating money tonight to them.
So you want to put them on a list right now out of the money that we've already,
I do.
okay. Are we talking about $30,000?
Nick, do you have any?
Nothing.
Right now, nothing. I'm good with 50. I think they said they've spent $90,000 over the last few years helping people stay in their apartments.
Right, for 1 or 2 months, and then the sustainability thing is still a fact. Okay. Okay, and this is
I
not
agree
new
with
money, this
50.
money already exists. It's here.
Yeah.
It's just actually putting a line item towards St. Vincent de Paul of $50,000 to reduce the other number that's already there, matching funds grant, stormwater, traffic, parks, trails. That number will be reduced by $50,000 if this action passes.
American Recovery Act.
So-
Money appropriated by the government to help people recover
Post-COVID.
post-COVID. Right. Recover. Yeah.
So, Matt, can we take the 297 and reduce it by 50 and add the next line to be St. Vincent de Paul?
Any other?
That would make the 297, 247.
Thank you. Bean counter extraordinaire.
I don't need the beads account.
That's respectful, dude. You slapped me
Any
around with
other-
the beans for a long time.
Any other commissioner comments? Community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Thank you, Commissioner Locker.
And Matt, I'll follow up with you regarding some of these groups and how we effectuate the money. Thank you.
All right, next is motion to approve the plastic bag exemption request process.
Second.
Again, discussed in committee, there's a process for people that may have to delay it. They have too many bags and they have to give it to stock, whatever their circumstances are. This will be handled by Paul. All right, so we have it handled that way, and, yeah, so it's,
So this is just to approve that we designate the Director of Codes to review those exceptions.
to handle the exemption request process. And then, I'm not sure, does that then come to us to approve? I hope it wouldn't, that's,
No, the criteria is in the ordinance, so it really just a question of who reviewed it, and this would be Director of Codes.
There's only two exemptions that are afforded under the ordinance. One, you've got to draw down your existing supply of plastic bags. Or two, you've got some extraordinary circumstance that means you can't temporarily comply with it.
And the only request we've had to date is to exhaust your existing surplus.
Yeah, we've had two that
inventory.
said we won't be able to get rid of them by the January deadline.
But a lot of businesses are also exempted for certain kinds of plastic bags. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah. Isn't, there's people that say, well, what am I gonna do about blah, blah, blah? Well,
So the piece of business here is for temporary exceptions and to declare our code enforcement officer as the
handle it.
To review
person
and
for
approve
that
it.
action.
Yep.
He's gonna love us.
bag man.
There's only one. All right, any other commissioner discussion on this?
getting a little giddy.
Community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
3E, motion to approve the addition of a new health care option for non-union employees.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Kevin left me hanging.
No, I didn't leave you hanging. I'm not supporting this. I think there's too many, I had this conversation during the committee meeting, and I don't think there's enough information.
Kevin, you have anything to say? Go ahead.
Had a motion in second, right?
We did.
Okay. Just to read the way it is, we don't know if we want to do HRA, HSA.
I think the recommendation and what we would recommend you approve is HRA 50/50. That's the,
Yep. So, yeah, this is the recommended by staff to provide another option for employees. We can always change it next year, but this is what we're.
So I did say that I would consider supporting this if it was an HSA. I think it's actually worded here very, very well that an HSA might be a better incentive for people to use this. I'm familiar with both, and
I agree with that. I'm not sure this is enough of an incentive, but I'm willing to, exactly.
that's why I won't be
Offer
supporting.
it.
And that's why I didn't second it, Sam. Leave you hanging, I'm sorry.
Okay, any other commissioner comments? Community, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Commissioner, it was with the HRA?
Yes, with the
Okay.
HRA.
Motion to approve the
As shown
motion
here.
as presented.
Thank you. All right, there was one nay.
And the last one is the motion to approve advertising.
We did that.
No, we did that.
We did that.
Okay. 4A, motion to approve Resolution R 2023-24, authorizing and ratifying the submission of a multimodal transportation fund grant for the Willow Grove interchange for $3 million.
Second.
We discussed this. It's a grant application. What's our part on this? How much do we have to match?
900,000. But keep in mind, that's, the idea is to identify those funds from another source.
Yeah, we're working towards the long-term project of improving the ramp to the turnpike.
All right, and basically that's what was discussed in committee, and everybody was in favor of moving forward.
Anybody else? Community, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, and 4B, authorizing and granting the submission of local share account, LSA, application for $1 million for the construction of a new police station building.
Second.
Again, this is helping with funding township taxpayers on this building, and every bit helps.
Okay.
And the police station reconstruction is long overdue.
Yeah, very long overdue. I think if you ask the police department, they're very happy this is being considered. Well, we just got it accredited this year, so kudos to our police department.
Any community comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion
And
passes.
that concludes business for finance and administration.
Okay. Commissioner, Public Health and Safety is next. Commissioner Whiting.
You heard a lot about public health and safety tonight. So we're going to talk about the motion to approve ordinance 1745, which restricts the parking. Chief Block, want to say something about that, please, sir?
Yes, good evening. Thank you, Commissioner Whiting. Before I get to those two items, I would just like to thank the board for all your efforts and support for the new police station moving forward. So on behalf of all the officers, thank you very much. Under the agenda, under motion to approve ordinance 1745, it's basically restricting parking on two streets in the township. One is on New Street at Davisville Road. The second one is on Willowbrook Drive at Edge Hill Road. And essentially, it's giving us the setbacks for when vehicles turn onto those roads or they're entering the main highway. They don't have a sight distance issue. So that's up before the board for adoption this year.
Both are Ward 6. And they're both well needed.
Did you second this?
We agree with your assessment, Commissioner.
Yes. Now, here's a question. I know the answer to it, but why isn't Country Club on this?
I'm sorry?
Why isn't Country Club on this?
We can
It's a
have
trick
traffic
question.
take a look at it.
No, it's
Because
Abington
in
Township.
Abington. Well,
Yeah.
we'll look at it, but it's Abington's.
We get more complaints at Abington from the people coming up from Country Club than Willowbrook, but yes.
All right, thank you for continuing to provide us with ideas to improve safety. Any other comments, community? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Kevin did.
We also have ordinance for 1736.
Yes, thank you.
Second that.
This ordinance was a result of our towing companies coming at the committee meeting requesting increases. It's been several years since their fees have been increased. So as a result of that, the ordinance was drafted and advertised at the October 2nd meeting, and it's before the board now for the adoption. And essentially, it's fixing the fees for the towing fee for vehicles up to 10,000 pounds at $125. Vehicles that weigh 10,001 to 26,000 pounds to $175, and towing fees greater than 26,001 pounds at $225. It also provides an increase for the storage fee at $50 per day and the cleanup fee at $45. And under the special circumstances, this mirrors Abington's ordinance, the $125 an hour for unusual or complex towing situations where you may have something that's overturned or down an embankment that's going to be an excessive amount of time to have the vehicle removed.
Thank you. Commissioners?
Discussed heavily in committee. Strongly recommend everything that's proposed here.
Great. Community? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, then we have some other discuss, Mapping Avenue, discuss this.
Second.
Thank you. Sorry.
Go ahead and have, maybe Chief, I can maybe start. You want to go ahead and?
Oh, Chip, please, class.
We're doing PA recovery first, Commissioner?
Yeah, PA recovery.
So that's a motion for the township to be able to accept recovery cost. We've engaged PA recovery for incidents, everything that we use at an incident. If an insurance company is attached, we're able to bill and recuperate costs for supplies, manpower, apparatus, fuel. Presently, there's not a stipulation, and correct me, Alex, if I'm wrong, in the township code to collect funds for incidents that we respond to. So by approving this, that will allow us to receive funds.
Sounds good. Commissioners?
Let's discuss it.
Yes.
Yep.
Community? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Commissioner Whiting?
Okay, next we have a motion for the approved fee for fire permits.
So
Second.
thank you, Commissioner.
Second that motion.
Oh, you already got it? Okay.
You woke up.
You want to cover it real quick, or you good?
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Thank you.
we're transitioning to square foot. Right now, we have about 40 different classifications we use to classify for fire permit inspections. Also, the fees have not been touched since at least 1989 that we're 100% sure of. Sometime before 1989, they were adjusted. So we had 5 different communities, and we fall somewhere in between those 5. And you see, we break it down to like 7 classifications on the square foot, 0 to 2,500, 2,500 to 5,000, 5,000 to 10, 10,000 to 30,000, 30,000 to 50, 50 to 100, and 100 and above. It also allows us fees for re-inspections. We're going to occupancies 5, 6, 7 times on re-inspections. It covers that, and it increases the cost of reports to $50 and fire calls in origin to $100. And again, they haven't been adjusted since at least 1989.
Okay, so how are we going to notify the residents?
We're going to
Or
send
the
out.
businesses?
We're going to send out a letter with their updates. Yep. And we'll
just to
tell
make
them
it-
who,
yeah.
what, when, where, why, and how. We already have a letter drafted, and
Great. I just wanted to make sure you said that.
yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Thank you for reviewing this.
I think this is a very fair change in the way we do business. We have been doing business the same way for a very long time, and, we have some really big box store areas, and they pay the same fee as a very small commercial property that's doing the same kind of inspection.
Commissioner Whiting, did you want to add anything?
No, I just want to say that concludes the business.
We didn't vote on this
You have to
yet.
vote on it first.
Okay. Community? All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. You're concluded?
Now, no, not quite yet.
You tricked me.
We have a meeting coming up on November 27th, which we expect a house full. So we ask everyone to make sure they get enough turkey in them
Not too much so you'll fall asleep.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and that concludes our business for tonight.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to Parks and Recreation Committee. Commissioner Skull.
Yes, Parks and Recreation Committee would like to make a motion to approve Resolution R 2023-28, authorizing the submission of a grant application for the distribution of gaming revenues to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Financing Authority.
Second.
And what this is about is Farmstead Park, those buildings. We would like to have money to develop a plan for each building in order to better organize our funding requests and so on. I forget the amount.
$190,000.
190 or 90?
$190,000.
And the beauty of it is it doesn't require a match.
No match.
It only costs us $100 to make the application.
I love that. I love
That's a good one. All right, anybody else?
Makes your job.
Community? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
That concludes Parks and Recreation
Thank you.
comments.
And that is the end of our agenda. We are adjourned. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner comments?
Yeah.
I feel bad about how upset people were, and I understand their anger tonight. What bothers me is, we're volunteers too. We get a little stipend, we're not paid great money to do this. Well, more information comes out, I think people will see it in a different light. And perhaps we can move towards a more equitable solution. Anyway, I don't like to yell at.
Thank you for your comment. Yeah, we really all are up here just trying to do our best for the community and concerned about public safety on this issue. Anybody else?
Yeah, this past week, we went through the democratic process of voting. We would like to thank, I would like to thank, I'm sure we all like to thank all the residents of Oklahoma who participated in our democratic process of voting, and we look forward to the results of which has been announced, and we have 3 new board members. Commissioner Board, sworn in January, and we want to say thank you to all those who participated in the democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Anybody else? Okay, now we're adjourned. Thank you.